Hello and welcome to the second captaincy video and podcast of the 2022-23 season. My name is Joe and joining me to pick the best captaincy candidates for Game Week 2 is Tom Freeman, Fantasy Football Scout's Deputy Editor. Tom, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks, Joe. Great to be back. Really enjoyed all of the Game Week 1 football, aside from my own team's performance, Villa at Bournemouth. But yeah, all good here, thank you.
Yes, and I'm a Brighton fan, so obviously very happy. It's sad to see the national media focusing on Manchester United being absolute pants, though, and not mentioning how brilliant Brighton are.
Superb.
Before we go on, just want to briefly apologise for those who immediately started watching this. The lovely starting screen we had just had a slight issue with that on the system we use, but all good now, and hopefully ourselves, the main bit, we're fine. You just missed the lobby music a little bit. Welcome to those who have joined us in the live chat. FPL Focus, Jack Brown, Bernardo, Mark Fox, Joe London UK, Peter Papanata, Red, and many more. Thank you so much. Before we go on, understand you've got something to say about one of our partners, but before we do that, I just want to say make sure those watching either live stream or watching the recording to make sure that you do press that subscribe button if you're not already. Keeps you up to date with everything we do, and do press like as well. Do like us as well. Helps enormously. So yeah, Tom, carry on.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about the So Rare Academy, which we mentioned last week. This is a free-to-play game. The deadline is Friday for this one, and you select a five-a-side team from the top 5 European leagues. If successful, I think you have to finish in the top 15. You win a limited card, which you can then use in the main So Rare game. So go and have a look at that if you're into that kind of thing.
Okay, let's have a look at those fixtures that we've got here. So there's two names that we're going to focus on, Haaland and Salah. But I'm going to go run through the fixtures anyway, because there might be some others if you're that way inclined to go. We'll go away from those two. But Villa, your team against Everton. So Bailey could be in with a shout. He destroyed them in 20 minutes last time. So who knows? Arsenal against Leicester. That could be a goal fest. Vardy could be an outside bet. Will Jesus score again? I think he's put a lot of suitors off in the first game week. My team Brighton against Newcastle. So, yeah, Pascal Gross, good for the captaincy. Man City against Bournemouth. That's the standout one, isn't it, Tom?
Absolutely. I think Man City against newly promoted Bournemouth, and then Liverpool, Palace are the two we want to be looking at for captaincy. I think if you did want to go for a third, maybe that Arsenal fixture that you just mentioned there. I thought Arsenal were electric in the early stages against Palace. But then Leicester, they conceded 2 against Brentford, but I don't think they were too bad defensively. So I think the key two we want to be looking at this week are those City and Liverpool games.
Certainly. So yeah, keep going down the list. So we've got Southampton against Leeds. I don't think there's any captaincy shouts there, unless you're a fan of Southampton or Leeds, that is. Wolves against Fulham. Who knows? Neto could be an outside shot there. Mitrovic. He looks a sort of a junior Haaland, if I can say that. In the, you see what I mean? In the Fulham are geared towards getting the ball to him and him scoring, and you would think that all teams are, but I think it's evident that's the way City is set up, and Fulham as well. And not every team is like that. Brighton's not like that, for example. But yeah, do you get that sense with that Mitrovic is a player we're all going to get in our teams at some point, if not already?
Well, he's the focal point of that team, isn't he? And I think the question mark was always on Fulham. Are they going to score enough goals? It's a different Fulham this time round. Mitrovic didn't play much the last time he was in the Premier League under Parker, but they're under Silva now. So, yeah, I mean, the whole team looked pretty lively against Liverpool. So that's one to monitor. But he's a nailed-on starter. Like I say, the focal point of that team. So I can imagine when the fixtures fall kindly for Fulham, he's somebody we'll all be looking at.
Definitely. And as if by magic, Eamon in the chat It says Mitrovic at Wolves, my Uber differential captain pick. So good luck there, Eamon, with that one, because you could get some returns there. Going down the list as well, we've got Brentford against Manchester United. I don't think there's going to be any captaincy shouts there. Forest, not Nottingham Forest, not Forest, as some people foolishly say. Nottingham Forest against West Ham. That could be good, because as we'll look at defences in a minute, Bowen could be an outside shout there. Chelsea against Spurs, loads of people have ditched Harry Kane, but will they regret it? Could he be a captaincy shout as well against Chelsea? And of course Liverpool at home to Crystal Palace, as we've mentioned there. I think we are going to talk about Haaland and Salah in detail in a bit, but let's just have a look at the worst defences. And what I've done is I've gone to the season ticker on Fantasy Football Scout, and I've just sorted the current game week 2's fixtures by difficulty, and it says that Wolves, Villa, Manchester City and West Ham on paper have the best fixtures, and the worst defences last week were West Ham, Leeds, Nottingham Forest, Everton and Southampton. And I don't know about you, but I get the sense from that list there that West Ham's figures are already skewed. It's only one game week's data. They just played Manchester City. So, but out of the worst defences, according to the stats, which do you think are genuinely the worst defences?
Well, it's quite hard to say after just one game week, isn't it? But I do think that, you look at Bournemouth on a table like that one, and they're obviously at the right end of the table, but Villa lacked any kind of creativity or threat. And so I think that we'll find them, anybody who plays City at this stage in the season will go to the wrong end of the table, I think. And that's exactly what happened to West Ham. West Ham are a decent team, but City just completely bossed the possession. Lots of big chances in that one. So I think Bournemouth, are still a defence to target, despite the clean sheet at the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, looking down our list, they had an expected goals conceded of 0.66, and they obviously got a clean sheet. But the point about that is they're quite low down the list so far. So what we're looking for when we're trying to establish these worst defences, these so-called whipping boys for our attacks to target, we're looking for Bournemouth to shoot up this table, really. But their defence looking good at the moment, but yeah, they got Haaland coming at them, and he really races, doesn't he? He really goes for it, and
absolutely explosive. Yeah,
I know he's a very different striker to Didier Drogba, but I had the same feeling watching him with Didier Drogba, in that you sort of imagine yourself as a defender facing them, and I would be scared with Drogba coming at me there, and I'd be the same with Haaland. He just looks really. What was it, that video they called him a big Nordic meat shield?
I think Neville said something similar at the weekend, didn't he? He said that a defender can play well, but he felt unstoppable at times, and I think we're going to see that quite a bit this season. He looked very sharp, which we'll talk about in the comparison between him and Salah, I'm sure.
Definitely. And just going back to the fixtures this week, obviously in terms of the best fixtures, Liverpool, Manchester City, so Crystal Palace and Bournemouth, hard luck. You're right in the red there on our list, right at the bottom of the table. And Southampton against Leeds, it thinks could be a favourable picture for Southampton, but also for Leeds as well. So looks like I don't know, either two great teams or two bad teams, but they'll be evenly matched.
Somewhere in the middle, maybe.
Somewhere in the middle there. So yeah, let's have a look at this this comparison then, because I think most people watching are going to be captaining one of Haaland, or perhaps De Bruyne, or Salah, or perhaps another Liverpool asset. So let's have a look at the comparison between those two players there. So yeah, we got Haaland at 11.6, so he's gone up in price already. Against Salah, it's 13 million. Expected goals, Haaland 1.66 to Salah's 0.38. So before I go on, what do you think of that?
Well, Salah feels like a safe pair of hands. He's still got the goal and assist against Fulham without playing exceptionally well. He's done well against Palace previously. I think he got 12 points in the home fixture against Vieira's Palace last season. But I think we do have to monitor the impact of Núñez and what it's going to do to Salah. Is it going to push him out a little bit wider?
Yeah.
We haven't really had enough minutes to really monitor that impact yet. He's only had those 2 cameos off the bench, but I think it's something we've got to look at. I also saw the news this morning that Thiago is going to be out for a period. I don't think that's great news for Liverpool at all. They've got Harvey Elliott's come in, who looked good at the weekend, but there's a drop off in quality there, I think. And when I'm looking at the captaincy and I'm looking at those opposition defences this weekend, I mean, I think that the Palace are obviously the stronger defence than Bournemouth. They started slowly against Arsenal, didn't they? But they didn't have a great pre-season. The group was split into 2. Vieira touched on it last week, and I think that was really telling in those opening 20, 30 minutes. But they got better as the game went on. And I think that, if we're simply going on fixture difficulty, I think that I'd be looking at Haaland for captaincy this week.
Yeah, I think with Palace, they towards the end of the match, Zaha in particular against Arsenal, they look dangerous, and I often say that as a Brighton fan, when you're on the team that is against Palace, Zaha looks like he's going to score at any moment, and often he does. But yes, I do think, like, on paper, Bournemouth is the easier fixture, but you never know. Already in the chat, people are saying things like Ellis Schofield saying more assists for Salah. FPL Focus is saying, I feel like Núñez will affect Salah slightly. So the next stat does indicate that. So Erling Haaland expected assists 0.08. So he's not bothered with that. he just wants to be running at the goal and for someone to cross to him or pass to him, and he will score. That's his job. So I don't think we're going to get too many assists from him. But for the captaincy, that could be important. He's a striker. He's not a midfielder, so he gets slightly less points for a goal there. Plus, the captaincy is all about points, isn't it? I mean, you don't care. In a way, you don't care how many they score. If they get 4 assists in a game, that's a great captaincy haul. So, you want to, well, they say you don't want him to score. Obviously, you want him to score and assist, but he looks like he's just going to be the goal man. Whereas Salah is much lower on the expected goal, but higher than Haaland so far in expected assists. So what you were saying, he's on the wing. Could be forced out wide more, could be delivering. So do you think that Salah for the captaincy could help him? He's got more routes to points.
Maybe. I mean, I think that he's still going to pop up in those central positions. You know, you think about that second goal that Liverpool scored on Saturday, and he was right in there with Darwin. So I think we need to monitor it. I can see a lot of those kind of Salah cutback goals from the byline for Núñez attacking that kind of near post. I can see that happening quite a bit. I think it's just one to monitor. But Haaland is all about the goals, isn't he? 2 at the weekend, 5 shots. He had 4 big chances. The next best goal attempts at City was, I think it was KDB and Gundogan who were playing these number 8 roles. They had 2. So I think I can see Haaland hoovering up those chances at City the way they're playing. Bournemouth, we said, kept it tight at the weekend, but I can only see a comfortable home win here. And as well, Bournemouth, they conceded 31 crosses to Villa at the weekend, more than any other side in Gameweek 1. So I think Foden, I think Grealish are going to be important at the weekend. I think they're going to get good balls into the box, and I think Haaland is going to kind of thrive off that supply line. Very good option.
Finally, looking at them, ownership. Haaland 52.1% and rising very quickly. Salah 62.3% and rising. This was from yesterday, so he's probably already risen by today. So that would indicate basically both of them could be, if they're well captained, they could be over that 100% effective ownership mark, which factors in captaincy, which means if you're into effective ownership, captaining one of them is a very good idea. Let's have a look at our top 3 picks. We've already mentioned a couple of them already, so I'll go through mine first, and we'll get yours. So I've got Haaland top. He is my current captain. I put all the things that we just mentioned: fixture, the fact that he looks absolutely frightening. He is just I don't know. They take his brain out. It's just a football with a goal, goal emoji just there. He's just a big soccer ball in his head. Mohamed Salah, my second choice, my vice captain there. Well, I've got Nunes as my third. So in his brief start. Sorry, not start, but his brief appearance in game week 1, his expected goal involvement was 0.66, more than Salah. He had 4 shots inside the box and 2 on target, 100% goal involvement. So I'm starting to wonder, we don't know yet, but could he be a better option? Not just for the captaincy, but to own as well for Salah. But moving on to your ones, you've got... you just list your 3 and obviously focus on the third choice, I think, because we've mentioned the top 2 a lot.
Yeah, so 1 Haaland, 2 Salah. We've spoken about it in depth already. Number 3 is De Bruyne. I think it's easy to forget how good he was last season, especially at home. He got 15 attacking returns in 13 starts. And I think the positioning of Cancelo and Walker at the weekend was really interesting. They kind of formed this central midfield 3 with Rodri, and it allowed those number 8s, De Bruyne and Gundogan, to push closer to Haaland. And I think that Haaland, is the guy to get at City. But let's not write off De Bruyne just yet. I think there's loads of potential there.
Definitely. As J77 Lag says in the chat, playing with number 9 is what you mean, Joe. That's what I mean. Oh, that's what Haaland is. It's just a number 9. Old school. So it could be a return there. And I think that's probably what's swaying both of us so far. But obviously there are other options. Salah, top of them. And I do think Nunes and De Bruyne, I think you're right there to select him, could do well. Just want to thank everyone in the live chat for joining us, and just want to once again say that do subscribe if you're not already, and do press that like button. It really helps us out. But in the meantime, thanks so much for joining us, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, Shane.